Hey everyone, so just a quick heads up, this video is going to be a little different than your typical Nostalgia Dive video that I make. Really what I want to do is I just want to talk to you guys about how grateful I am for those of you who have subscribed and watched my videos. If this is your first time watching this video right now, then hello, I'm Pendulum Crow and I make videos of games I grew up playing all the way up to now. Anyway, first things first is I wanted to talk to you guys about why I make these videos. It's mainly because of a few reasons. Reason one, I've always wanted to make videos related to gaming content ever since the birth of the Let's Play many, many years ago, but I felt that the format of content was never really going to work for me. One big reason is because of my rather monotone and dry personality. So I thought maybe reviewing games, and then I just thought there are a billion channels out there that are like that. Then recently, in the last around 8 years of me surfing the World Wide Web, I had pretty much been watching a lot of retrospective videos. These, of course, are similar to how I structure my videos, and while I would say, of course, those channels have larger production value and more time to research, edit, and play the subject of their video, I would say that the retrospective formula was the perfect way for me to really express what I wanted to do, which leads me to reason two. Reason two, of course, is I really wanted to just talk about the games I grew up playing that some people may not have had the chance to when they were younger. A good example of this is some of my friends on the internet are around 5 years younger than me and have never heard of games like Dwarf Fortress or Jet Set Radio. On the other hand, there are those friends of mine that do remember these games and just want to have a nostalgia hit watching the gameplay while I yap relentlessly about whatever I like talking about at the time. Reason three is a little more personal and is a two-part response, which unfortunately I will not be covering in this video because it will directly be talked about in a future video. The one half that I can say is that it is for my son. My son, as of recording this, is only 8 years old, and while I still have many years ahead of me to spend time with him and play games with him now, I want him to have something for when I'm no longer here. I want him to be able to discover the kinds of games I liked as I grew up. Not only that, but he also gets to help me with these videos. One thing, of course, you hear is when he talks to you guys and tells you, "See you later, peace." That's one of his favorite things to do. The other part is he helps me on its music. Not the background music that you hear during the videos, but he has a little music program where he makes small, simple beats. I love them so much, and he asked me if I could put them in my videos, and of course I said yes. So the music you hear at the end of the videos after a certain point is just my son playing around with his music program. He loves music, and I want to help encourage him to do something he loves. Reason four, and this was the biggest drive, was that I am notoriously bad at committing to anything I try to do. I'm a quitter, and so I wanted to prove to myself that I could do something I like, and pushing through the times where I feel overwhelmed or down about the hobbies I like to do. An example of this is I have streamed on Twitch on and off since 2016, but because I'm so inconsistent with streaming, I felt like it wouldn't matter if I did it or not. I love the aspect of talking to people about games and gaming, and hell, I love watching people play games almost as much as I love playing them, so I feel like I really shot myself in the foot when I took a 2-year break and the small community of friends that I had made never really came back. The reason this appeals to me so much is I believe that it reminds me of those nights when I was younger, playing games with my friends, or they'd come to play games at my house. It's kind of a nostalgia thing as well when I think about it. Anyway, those are the kind of the reasons behind me wanting to do this. I also wanted to talk about giving thanks not only to you guys, but my friends and family that have motivated me to progress and keep driving forward with this project, I guess, for the lack of a better name. I definitely don't consider myself an influencer in any way, but to see that hundreds and in some cases thousands of people watch my videos, even for a few minutes, just blows my mind. Those of you who recommended games to me personally, those of you who have given me amazing ideas, I see you, and you have been paramount in showing me that there are people that feel the same way about some of these games as I do. And hey, even if our opinions don't match, my jokes don't land, and the quality of these videos are not completely to your standard, that's fine. You still came by, you still gave me a chance. I have gotten more confident in speaking on the internet and have even improved my writing and editing skills, something I didn't think a lowly nobody like me could do. Shit, you may not be able to tell, but if you guys look at my Sheep Raider video, my first ever nostalgia dive ever, and then go to say my Silent Hill or Scarface video, I see a difference personally. What I really wanted to do for this video is maybe go through some of my older videos and give you some potential behind the scenes stuff, maybe some revisions, and any other comments I may be able to add. So if you're looking for your standard Nostalgia Dive video, then you may have to wait until January, but I still appreciate you all coming by anyway. So let's go ahead and talk about a year's worth of Nostalgia Dive. For the first Nostalgia Dive, I wanted it to not only be a game from my early childhood, I wanted it to be something kind of niche. Sheep Raider was one of those titles I for sure wanted to cover in this series. What's really funny here is out of all the games that we have covered up to this point, this entry was probably one that started the whole nostalgia concept, just because every once in a while I started humming the tune from the game and was just like, damn, I really should replay that again. This then made me start thinking, I wonder how many people know about this game. I know what I should do. I should make this the first video. This was when I had also compiled a list of around 20 or so games I thought I would like to cover on here. This was not only to provide me with some ideas, but also in the event I try to cover a game and it just takes too much time or it becomes too difficult, I could quickly switch to another one just in case the original idea didn't work out. This was a complete spontaneous video. I actually planned on doing Jet Set Radio a little further down the road. Fortunately, or well, I guess unfortunately, I found out that it was going to be delisted from Steam with no possible way of purchasing the game from official sources. I'm big on games preservation, and I thought maybe someone who was unaware of the situation could find and purchase it before it was no longer in the market. I wanted to wait to do this game so I could potentially get both my commentary and editing skills a little bit better, but I thought I would just try and catch the wave, I guess, of other people who may have been talking about it at the time. This would, for the longest time, be my most viewed video, which wasn't saying much since it was only my second nostalgia dive, but it really gave me a confidence boost to keep at it. I would like to mention in the video that I say I played Jet Set Radio on the Xbox. My memory fails me, as it was never released as such. Oops. Instead, I actually played Jet Set Radio Future, then I went back and played the original once I was able. Still, both games offer some of the best video game soundtracks you would find out there. Some of you in the comments had mentioned Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. At the time, I had mentioned that I had not beat it yet, but I am happy to report I now have, and it might be the best game inspired from another game. Not only that, but Sega is supposed to be coming out with a remake of Jet Set Radio, which I will probably cover at some point as well. The Twisted Metal video is one where I learned that I really can't cover every single story aspect of the game, as there are so many routes which one could go through. Also, this is the video that broke my rule of not covering sequels first. Obviously, as I had said in the Twisted Metal video, I had played the numbered series first. While I would like to cover those as well, I'm not too sure if I will, mainly because as far as mechanically and gameplay wise, none of these are too different from one another, which may be what caused the downfall of this beloved series. There are some games and even possible genres where if you are not innovating with every game you come out with, it can easily cause its own downfall. Of course, there are exceptions to this rule. This was also a game I didn't give too high of a score on compared to the others. I don't want this to be a game critic channel. I want to share some of my frustrations with games I cover, yes, but I don't want to drive people away from trying a game they have never played before. I think going to a YouTube channel to look for a review of a game is, unfortunately, in my opinion, kind of lame. I personally want to try games without any preconceived bias towards certain things. Instead, I read the reviews of the actual players, and then I use those reviews to kind of temper my own expectations. I don't think I have played a game in the last 1 million years where it's been straight up just bad. Well, maybe Bazooka Tone. This has to be up there as one of my favorite yet most stressful videos. For a while, this actually was my favorite. This was when I started to input small amounts of my own personal humor. I actually have had some pushback about the dog joke, not in the comments, mind you, just from personal associates that thought it might be in bad taste. Oh well. This was the first video where I started trying to work with Premiere's After Effects, things to kind of push my video into a more edited piece. This was also my first story-heavy game that I would cover, so I think I could have done way better on the cuts here. I know that there is a point towards the beginning where Red's mom is supposed to berate Red about her pots and pans, but for some reason the audio didn't get put in. I'm not sure if I forgot or it got cut out for some reason. This is one of those videos where I actually might do a remaster of it and do it over with a little bit more better editing and, of course, with a little more voiceover work. Dwarf Fortress is one of those games I still play quite a bit to this day. This was a video where I thought I'm not going to cover a game from my childhood. I truly believe that someone can have that nostalgia feeling even from just a month ago. Funny enough, I used a song in this video at the end that is part of the Geico commercials with the caveman. This is actually my first video that received a copyright claim. I had hoped to actually have a longer story section in this game. I was just going to narrate what was going on the whole time this fort was active until it collapsed. It only lasted around 2 or 3 hours until a siege happened and killed nearly 90% of my fort. I had not gotten any migrants for the last 4 waves, which meant that this fort was doomed to fail, so I did the sensible thing and opened up an area where a giant chameleon demon killed the last bit of my dwarves. Brutal stuff. Currently, this sits as one of my least viewed videos, which made sense to me since everything I had covered up to this point was a little more action-oriented in some way and a little more exciting to look at. Even at the beginning of this project, hell, up until now, I make these videos because I like talking about what I like and not really for any other purpose, other than the reasons I gave earlier. This video to me was a wild card. I knew it was going to be my shortest video in the series up to this point, with the video you all get in January being a close third or second. This video didn't do well for the longest time and was my lowest rated video for quite some time, but it was one of those on the list that I had made where I really wanted to cover it. One thing is, the game is so grindy when it comes to getting the rune stones and other pickups that I wasn't sure if I was actually ever going to get it done in time, as at this point I was barely meeting my own deadlines for releasing these videos. I know that I don't have to release these videos at a certain time, but it kind of drives that point of challenging myself not to give up on my hobbies. I was actually going to show some multiplayer footage of this game. However, when I was doing recordings, it was always when my player 2, my son, would be at school and we wouldn't have time since I work at night. One thing I loved about this video is in the comments people would talk about their time with Gauntlet, and it kind of is one of my favorite parts of doing these videos. I absolutely love seeing everybody else's take on these games, and it really was cool to see what everybody's favorite characters and strategies were for the game. Gosh, this is probably the most personal video I have made up until now, and I believe this will probably be the case for some time, given how I have changed the format of these videos from back then. The beginning of this video is very sad, and it talks about the passing of my friend's mother and still kind of makes me tear up when I rewatch this video for this video. I think personally I would have liked to have been able to talk about the personal stuff without almost breaking down. I did probably 3 or 4 tries on that section, and it was probably the best take. Another thing there is the audio balancing is really bad. I feel like I could have made the background music a little quieter. I think the arsenic joke where I pull a clip from Flowers in the Attic is some of my finest work. Honestly, this was another short video, and there was actually a reason for this, as the following video I knew was going to take forever to edit and play, so I intentionally picked a game that would not take as long for me. This was the video out of all of these that I had actually thought would be the most popular on the channel, mainly because it was one of the more popular games I would cover up to this point. There is a consistent joke I had made in this where I hint at a possible romantic relationship between Sora and Riku. I will be clear, this isn't a personal shipping of the characters, this is something I had personally seen in the fandom. I believe this to be pretty funny and a really good ongoing joke. I did not make that very clear, and so I got a comment about it. I had no idea people were actually serious about shipping them. Another not so fun fact about this video is when I had uploaded this video, I guessed there was an error processing it and it did not upload properly. Well, I had deleted the project items as well as the complete edited video, so I had to completely redo this one. I spent around a week replaying and editing it all over again, which delayed it. It was the most stressful video I'd probably done, but luckily this gave me enough confidence in my editing abilities to do another video right afterwards. This was when I started using the intro as well as the sequences between sections. I think I got way better at cuts and editing. Maybe not as good as your high-level paid editor, but for me, I feel like I worked my skills up to the point where I was comfortable in basic Adobe Premiere Pro. Up until this point, Jet Set Radio was my most watched video. That completely changed when I uploaded this video. I'm not a YouTube analytic person, so I'm not entirely sure what caused YouTube to kind of pick this video up. I was actually not expecting this at all, whether it be the thumbnail, title, or the sequences I put in. This is when I actually got some decent constructive criticism. Personally, one of the reasons I don't rewatch my videos after I upload them is because I hate listening to my damn voice. I think everyone is kind of like that in some aspects. This also is kind of when I actively try to think more about some jokes I could implement into my commentary, as I feel like these story segments kind of get a little dry. It seems the comments up to this point agree as well. This also is when I kind of rethink my goods bad section, as well as pull back on any of the personal memories I have of each of these games, as it doesn't really seem you guys care that much, which is okay. If you guys are really curious about my personal connection to these games, then you can talk to me about them on Twitch. This was also a game I had put on my list I really wanted to cover since the very beginning of this project. This is also one of the first games I had introduced to my son, and I thought he would have a good time seeing one of his favorite games on this list. Another shorter video, and another strange game no one really played back in the day. When working on this video, they had actually announced a new Katamari game. Just to report to you guys, yes, me and my son since then have played it, and it is definitely in the top 3 of our favorite Katamari games for sure. I had wished I could have made this video a little longer, however the story is pretty shallow, so talking about it, the gameplay, and the development was pretty important here. The shorter video allowed me to actually move on to possibly one of the most important videos on this series. At least, I think so. The Earthbound video is an important one for me for a few reasons. Number one is the community is highly protective of this series, so talking about this game with the utmost care is a must. I wouldn't call myself a Nintendo head, but this series is everything I love about stories, gameplay, and just RPGs in general. At one point, this game, as well as another, inspired me to develop my own game, of course, once I realized how difficult coding was and pretty much gave up. I still have most of my assets, so you never know, I might pick it back up one day. This is when I really started thinking about how I sounded doing my commentary, giving it a little more oomph. Another thing is that all the extra time I had managed to save up all went into playing this game. The difficulty towards the end of the game actually almost made me give up, and I don't just mean this specific video, I mean all of this project. There was a moment where I thought about, which is the end of this game, which everyone on Earth prays and fights to destroy Gigas. I thought that was a meaningful moment, and I wouldn't be happy unless I showed it, and so I kept on going. Once it was released, I felt so much relief for completing it, I quickly moved on to working on the next one. My favorite series, period. October was coming up, and I know everyone else likes to post videos to be in theme with the month, so I decided I would finally get a crack at this series. I mention it in this video, but everyone and their mother has covered Silent Hill. I knew I would get some pushback no matter how little it was, but I had tempered myself as well as my expectations for this being a disaster of a video. Not because of my video or editing or even my monotone voice, but for Silent Hill itself. These games are some of the most transformative and opinion-heavy games that everyone has a say in what they think and what they feel about these games. For the record, I would like to mention for the longest time when I was younger, the only valid opinion someone had about this series is that the first 3 games were the only good ones. Obviously, I don't think like that now, as I have played all the others, and I believe each have their own strengths and weaknesses. I'm even one of those people on the side of Silent Hill F being one of the better Silent Hills, of course after the first 3. Now that I have beat it as well, boy, you guys blew my expectations for this video out of the water. This video, as of writing, is my most viewed nostalgia dive. Thank you. I never expected to ever see that many come by and visit my channel and listen to me yap about it. This game was actually a nightmare to run on emulation. I, for the life of me, could not get the cutscenes to play, and so I had to fight both tooth and nail to get it to work, which delayed me probably a week's worth of time with troubleshooting it. Anyway, thank you guys for this one. It means the most to me you would come and listen to me talk about one of my most favorite series of all time. This video was by far my favorite video to work on. My friend Travis, who I had mentioned many times prior, had recommended this to me way in the beginning, and I thought it would be only obvious that I would cover anything he would throw my way. One thing I had to cut for a time was originally, every time I got frustrated with the game, I was going to go over to his house and give him a stone cold stunner. Unfortunately, due to time constraints, this was not possible, but I believe we will get the opportunity to collab in the future. Travis, if you see this, send me any other games you would want to see. And that goes for all of you too. I would love to cover something that may be out of my wheelhouse. As of right now, the Scarface video is actually my lowest viewed one, but I really don't care because it is the funniest time I had in creating a video so far. Mainly because of the absurd and overused jokes. So, there you have it. A year's worth of work reviewed, and I have to say it was more palatable than I thought it would be. The biggest thing is I fucking hate listening to myself talk, but this kind of exercise kind of helps me get used to that. I'm a big self-depreciator, so don't take my word for it. Honestly, the other thing I wish I could do is be a little more effective researcher. I always see most retrospective channels really digging deep on their videos, and I just wish I had the time. That's really all that boils down to. Outside of research, I still need to spend time with my family and work and play games other than the ones I talk about, of course. So it's a balance that I am still trying to figure out to this day. Anyway, after doing all that, I can talk to you guys about some of my future plans for Nostalgia Dive and this channel. The biggest thing I want to talk about, just so that way it forces me to commit to the idea, is I also want to make some nostalgia dives that don't encompass gaming. There's some manga, movies, anime, books. I just kind of want to do one about tabletop role playing and how it's been a huge creative outlet for me. I also just want to kind of do general gaming videos, which is just me talking about maybe what games I'm playing at the moment and maybe kind of covering stuff that might be a little more modern and well known, I guess. But again, Nostalgia Dive for now will be the major priority, and if I can crank out another 1 or 2 possible side projects, then I think I will release those when I really have any extra time. Other than that, I want to thank you all again for your support in a random stranger's ramblings on his hobbies. If you have any recommendations for games or other media for Nostalgia Dive, leave it as a comment. If you like the idea of how I am progressing the channel, let me know by leaving me a like. If you don't want to miss any of my videos as I release Nostalgia Dives once a month, then don't forget to subscribe so you can catch those. I also stream on Twitch. The stream starts usually around 10 p.m. Central. I know that's late for a lot of people, so you can also catch my VODs as well as any other uploads I have here on this channel. Granted, they are severely behind, and I usually try to post on Sunday at 12 p.m. Central for those videos. Without further ado, thank you guys for everything, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your year, and I hope to see you soon. Peace.